I am a congressional candidate here running for Maryland District 1, and I wanted to let you know first that I am an LGBT candidate, and tonight we are also going to be talking about what's going on in Maryland for our Marylanders, a little bit about No Dem Left Behind, and what is actually happening with COVID-19 by our special guest host, which is another congressional candidate here in Maryland, and what she has to say about what's happening on the front lines. We will be joining her soon, but I wanted to first talk about exactly what is important about today. Today is Transgender Day of Visibility, and since I'm part of that LGBT community, you should get to know a little bit more about me. I started out my career as a veteran, a friend and an advocate, and that basically means that for me, I had to fight to get back into the military. This day is very important. It's just not only my dad's birthday, but it is something that is like super important for all of us. And that makes a big difference for everything that's going on in the world, um, because it matters to you, it matters to others. And if you're in Waynesboro, Virginia, give a big shout out to my dad. But here in Maryland, we're going to be simply talking about what has happened in the past. Like yesterday, we in Maryland ended up with a stay-at-home order, and that is something that we have never really had happen here. For me as a service member, I've seen that happen overseas. And on this day, several years ago, I was restored back into my military career so that I could actually retire. So the biggest thing about this whole stay-at-home order is that it's put a dampener in our campaigns, and I'm hoping that we can also talk about that tonight, along with, those who of us are at No Dem Left Behind, because all of our campaigns have gone digital. And that is something that has really changed how campaigns are done. They're fundraising, there's no more door to door, and that is a simple reality. So if you didn't know that I was a transgender candidate, it is one of those things that there are a lot of other ones who have ran on lower levels to make this super important for us to lead the way, like Danica, Sarah, Charlotte. It makes a huge difference when other candidates step up and run. We may lose, we may win, but it really matters when you actually provide us the support and a donation to make sure that we can actually get that support. And we are asking people to basically get their ballot by mail, all right, so that everybody can ensure that their voice and their vote is counted here in 2020. And that makes a huge difference, especially when you can go vote so that nobody can be suppressed. Now, we're going to take a simple break, and we will be talking to our first guest, right, which her name is Jennifer Pingley. We'll be right back. And on the screen behind me, and we're zoomed in here, is Jennifer Pingley. She is over staying at home and doing what she can. So Jen, welcome to the town hall. Tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're running and what it's like currently on your job.
Thank you for having me. I am a nurse, and For the current reasons that we can all see with the COVID-19 pandemic, it's one of the major reasons that I was running for the position for District 1 in the U.S. House of Representatives. There is a very large lack of leadership from people who actually work in healthcare, and the current doctor that we have in the seat isn't very reliable when it comes to the way he votes, when it comes to healthcare. So that's one of the main reasons I started running. One of the reasons I'm here tonight is because I'm at home on quarantine for COVID-19. Most of my symptoms have hit their peak and I'm on the recovery phase, but that's the reason I'm here tonight.
Good, good. And the reason that I'm here tonight and to announce something that's very important is that for the last 2 weeks, I basically put my campaign on brakes. I decided that I needed to help out service members and I was going to watch my treasurer's children. That was until we got this stay-at-home order. And even for me, COVID-19 is a very harsh reality because what has happened is that, you know, she came home with a letter of quarantine to her home where I'm watching the kids. So now I may have the risk of being exposure, and now I'm having to stay here at quarantine. I can no longer go out even if I wanted to get essentials. However, it is one of those things that, you know, we take a risk on and we're awaiting those test results. But, you know, you are right. We don't have proper representations from, you know, our district leader in District 1. Other district leaders are actually taking advantage and they're putting out information about this on a continuous basis. And you see the transparency here when we're putting out the information and he's talking about a single issue bill. What are your thoughts on that?
Normally, under regular circumstances, I would agree with him that you can pare down bills into simple, easy to pass, one issue, let's go. This is not that type of circumstance. In a pandemic, you are trying to do as much as you can all at once to benefit as many people and as many organizations as possible. And I believe he's been a bit short-sighted with that. I do have to say that he did get leaned on very heavily with the way he voted, and Dr. No did vote yes a couple of times.
He
However,
changed his vote out for this one, and it was just to continue with what he voted on prior. According to the roll call back in July 17, 2019, he voted against this bill, and now he's turned around as supporting it.
very interesting turn of events, I'd say.
I know, it's very bad. So you're from Cecil County. I'm over here in Frederick, and I see that a lot of the community leaders have canceled their meetings. Schools are now closed, kind of almost indefinitely. So what is it like with you at your work? Is it something that you see people coming in for this type of symptoms, or is it something that, you know, you just take precautions on while you're at the job?
There are screening tools that we use for when somebody walks in the door as a patient. Currently, there are pretty much no visitors allowed. I do believe they're allowing one visitor with a laboring patient, one parent with a pediatric patient at most hospitals. Some hospitals do have some modifications to that.
Well, that's great. I mean, women giving birth is a very important example. I have a friend of mine, her name's Jessica, a shout out to you. She helps women deliver their children so that everything goes smoothly, and I support her for that. So let's see what's in the stay-at-home order, because the thing is a lot of things were considered as essential services, especially under social distancing, and now a lot of things are just closed, like tattoo parlors, all of the other little places and knick-knack stores. They're all closed. How do you think this can change for us, for small businesses here in Maryland?
It's going to have a profound impact. Maryland is mostly made up of small businesses, so every little bit that we have to close, this cyclical closing is a unique approach that's not really been tested before. So we will have more information, God forbid there be another pandemic, as to what goes better. But we're going to have a large problem which is where we've had the congressional funds and a lot of grassroots efforts with getting funding out there for the small businesses, more in the style of grant, so they don't have to pay it back. So they can continue to pay their workers and we can keep people off unemployment. And we can continue to try and salvage as many small businesses as we can, sometimes even through the low interest loans.
Yeah, that is definitely correct. So one of the biggest things is that grant, that information has came out. Representatives today have put out that information minus Harris. So he was like the first one to do it, honestly. And then like everybody else kind of followed his lead, which was kind of a change. You know, he was stringent about making sure that everybody got the information about the IRS. I put it on my website. And even, you know, our service members are going to be able to get a grant once they file for financial hardship, which makes it very difficult. But as of 10 a.m., we've had about 1,600 cases, 20 deaths, majority of these affecting Baltimore, Montgomery, and Prince George's. Looks like y'all are definitely under 80, so y'all are doing well. It definitely affects women more than it affects men. And in the U.S., everything's skyrocketed. In the last week, we've gone from basically, 400 to 1,600. And that's just because of good testing that we've had. And we've had about close to 15,000 negative results. So testing is important, but still, they've changed their 14 days to 15 days to do that. But I wanted to thank you, Jennifer, for joining us. And is there any website or can we talk to you on social media?
You can find me under ElectJenRN. I'm happy to answer any questions, healthcare or otherwise related. And I really appreciate you having me because I think it's really important that we support each other in this race to the Democrat Party.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. And for everybody else, we will be back here shortly, okay? Thank you. running for office here in Maryland, and wanted to continue our conversation with you about what's going on and what can actually happen with this stay-at-home order and why it's so important for us to continue to advocate others and be a friend to your neighbors and unite them. Currently, a lot of people are out there donating, making big donations, and helping out hospitals with supplies that they have bought up or decided to share with others, and it makes a very huge difference when they do. However, one of the things that is still a shortage is, face masks. And you can do this at home. If you have a 3D printer, you can actually make your own face mask. Provide some plastic, get that cut out. I'm sure Lowe's and stuff is still open. I mean, Costco, they limit themselves in there, but you can actually provide for others, and it is your opportunity to do something as a DIY product while you're at home to do this. And it makes a huge difference when you are actually supporting our communities, because we're in a red district, right? If you take a look at it, no matter what. And that is important for us because we're part of a coalition called No Dem Left Behind. It is about 10 other candidates, soon maybe 20, depending on how elections go throughout our entire United States of America. And it makes a huge difference when you are actually able to support us. And that helps us get there. So let's have a look at what our coalition has done, where we're going, and go from there. So let's get this little transition in here, and we will begin. So first up, we have Allison for Congress in Florida's 17th District, Natalie for West Virginia's 1st District, Woodsman's for Congress in North Carolina, Sydney in Florida, I think that's District 1, District 19, we do have somebody from District 1. I'll correct myself. Devin Pingley for House of Representatives, Chris Rowe for Congress, Jay Creek for Utah 1st Congressional District, and Yana for Wyoming, who is actually running for a Senate race. So that is super important that you get to know all about our coalition and what we are doing, because in the news, we are basically staying on top of what's going on in COVID-19 because of the entire pandemic that is affecting all of us. And let's go ahead and share exactly what is happening here in Maryland that I briefly talked about earlier. And this is directly from the website itself, so that you can actually see it yourself. And we'll do this in real time. It is super important that you support us, because we'll continue doing this weekly to keep everybody informed. It's very important that we keep this number low. That's why the stay-at-home order was given, right? And we'll go past Easter, maybe till the end of the month or June, depending on how these numbers turn out. And that requires a lot more testing. And as you see here, we talked about those 15,000 negative test results. And even our service members are impacted by this because, it affects every age. And as you see, if you're between 30 and 69, you are part of that majority in this new bell curve, which used to be the other way around when testing first started and when the deaths first started. And that, you can see, is the way that we've had 0 testing, 0 confirmed cases, 5, 5, 5, 5, 12, and then all of a sudden it began to skyrocket as more testing actually became available, right? So the new guidelines are basically to make sure that we, take that 15 days, because these symptoms include that fever, that coughing, the shortness of breath. And in most cases, you can actually end up with pneumonia. And as a person who's previously had pneumonia before, it is something that you wake up to. It is something that you really can't feel until it actually happens. There is that, shortness of breath that happens, but it actually takes that time to do more about it if you actually know what's going on with your body. For me, I was in boot camp and I had pneumonia, and it just hit me like a brick of rocks at near the end of my training. So that is this. And let me get that off the screen so I can get to the next part of what we're going to be talking about. And that is basically, what has been put out about cleaning and taking care of everything from, the MSDSs you have to actually understanding what ingredients are actually working to beat this, virus. And keeping your house clean, as Nancy Pelosi kindly said, as Speaker of the House, she stated that she was a grandmother and is always telling, everybody to wash their hands. So these are some simple things that you can actually do to basically have things that work beyond isopropyl alcohol and Clorox wipes. And you need to clean your phone, your light switches, your doorknobs, and that's actually if you have alcohol wipes or everything else. And if you are watching like some YouTube videos of other people who are actually doing this, you can actually see them and how they became OCD in this to make sure that they're taking extra precautions for every customer as they stay open during a lockdown, because they are an essential service for fixing things or actually using Lysol continuously. And this article is from Vox, and I can share that with y'all later. But it's a really good written article for basically how to keep you and yourself clean. And that was shared to me by some family in Virginia who, when they started their lockdown, they started seeing a decrease in numbers as that began. But people, honestly, you need to take this serious and, do not end up like other people in Maryland getting arrested, because it will cost you, $5,000 fine and at least 1 year in jail. So here are some things that our military has passed on upon us, and it makes a huge difference to make sure that it is also something that you can do as well. And it makes a big difference when you are stuck at home and you've done all this grocery shopping and you can, work through your frozen section and also into your non-perishable items, because that's what you're going to be going out to the grocery store to buy. And the USDA put this out, and I got this through some military resources, and it tells you what foods that you can buy. You want to be able to have things that are shelf stable, frozen, and fresh fruits, so that you can actually make that meal for that day. And try not to go out every day unless you're going out local, and make sure that, like in Maryland, keep that 6 feet distance apart, because that is 2 shopping carts, not 1 shopping cart, 2 shopping carts. Okay, not the little ones, the big ones, the big shopping carts. Okay, that's 6 feet, people. That is super important to make sure you do that. And these are your buying options. And what should you make? Try a new recipe, try to experiment. Go to Tasty on YouTube and find something new and experiment with it. If you've got a working microwave, make it happen. But stay active, stay involved. I highly recommend the app Nextdoor. It is something that I've used. I'm a neighborhood lead, and it helps other people stay informed of what's going on, not only politically, but also what's going on as far as like development plans and everything else. And that really helps out. You can also find all of this information on my website at miadmason.us.coronavirus. So I'm going to take the last couple minutes to actually talk about exactly what the IRS has been proposed to us to take care of. So let me get that page pulled up, because it's super important for us to make sure that we are actually factually speaking about what's going on in the real world. So if you go to the IRS website, just replace the first part of my web address with irs.gov and then coronavirus. Somebody was thinking like, so if you have previously filed taxes before and direct deposit, they will automatically deposit this money into your account. if you fall within those guidelines. If your AGI is under, $75,000 or whatever it is for a family. Like, I got married last year. Do I need to file my taxes and do this now? So if you need to call them, they can answer the phone. They're still working. But as we know, the tax deadline has been passed and postponed, just like our election, But our election is now June 2nd, and now filing for your taxes is July 15th. Please make sure that you still do your taxes and make sure that you can still support us. And we are still recommending that you vote by mail because we honestly don't know how long this will take, but it is something that is very important to us all, that we actually get your absentee ballot. Right? Vote.org only takes 2 minutes, and my last minute, and that is my last plug, to get you to like, subscribe, comment, tell us exactly what you are doing here in the coronavirus, because you can enjoy, some good news to make that happen for others. So share the good news, get an absentee ballot. It only takes 2 minutes, and when you do, just make sure that you're here to support us, and you can vote for me and Mason for Congress here in Maryland District 1. We'll see you next week. We take care of others. We share their voice. We understand what's going on, and we're making it known. Have a great night.